All right, the final major of the PGA Tour season is here. It's back at one of the game's most dramatic venues, Royal Portrush. They will host the 2025 Open for the first time since 2019. And look, the field is stacked. From Scottie Scheffler's historic run to Bryson DeChambeau's links test and plenty of dark horses in between. There's a lot to break down. And joining me now, right here in studio, is golf journalist Curran Bhatia, here with me to preview all the biggest storylines from Northern Ireland. But we are here in the States, excited for this tournament. Curran, you're a big golf enthusiast. You cover the sport.
Yes.
How are you doing? How excited are you for the final PGA Tour Championship major of the year?
Yeah, Dexter, great to be with you as always. I'm pumped, man. You know, we got this final major of the year. Like you said, we're here in America, so are we going to say British Open, all of that, right? There's so many different things. But this is the Open, so we have to give it the respect that it deserves. Obviously, it's been around for a long time, and I'm pumped to chat with you.
Yeah, listen, I don't want people coming for me in the comments if I did not say the Open, you know, like people say the Ohio State University, although some of y'all go too far with that. But yeah, understood. We're going to talk about the Open. And Curran, let's start with the venue.
Yes.
Right? Royal Portrush returns for the first time since 2019.
Yep.
What makes this course such a distinctive and demanding test for the field? Because you and I, anytime we talk about these majors, we got to talk about the courses. So
of course.
What makes this course tough for these players that will be trying to attack it come this week?
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a great test. And that's what we want to see in major championships. So 2025 Open Championship will be played at Royal Portrush, and this is in Northern Ireland. So I'm going to give you some words that can describe this venue. Rugged, raw, relentless, right? That's how you describe this venue. The biggest thing is this is on Northern Ireland's coastline. So what that means is the weather is going to play a huge part of it, and it's going to test your skill, test your nerve. It's going to test everything. And I think this is going to be a big test for the thinking man's golfer, right? You got to figure out your way around this golf course. This isn't going to be bomb it and see what happens. This is a big test. And I think the weather is going to be a huge storyline. So unpredictable coastal winds, right? That's what all the players are going to be navigating. Tight landing areas, punishing bunkers. So here's what I think will be rewarded come this week at the Open. Precision and creativity. Those are two big things that I believe will be rewarded this week, but I'm really looking forward to it because, Dexter, this is what we want to see, right? In major championships, we want to see the best golfers in the world be tested at the highest level, right? We want to see them kind of look like us on a regular golf course, right?
Not like all of us. Not that bad. But I get you.
You get my point. You get my point. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, no, and I was going to ask you about that with this course. It's absolutely, when you talk about weather, it's absolutely going to be about the wind. We've seen this in the past before. The wind can test these golfers, and there's a lot of adjustment in that.
Yes.
So you said thinking man's golfer's game,
exactly.
Right? You want to think about how you're going to approach these holes and make the adjustments to the weather. So it's really interesting.
Yep,
now look,
exactly.
when you're talking about the sport of golf right now, folks, Scottie Scheffler, you got to talk about him.
Yep.
He enters here as a favorite, Curran, winning the PGA Championship. He also tied for 7th at the U.S. Open. Is he the undisputed man to beat in this field?
So Scottie Scheffler, as you pointed out, #1 player in the world. He does have the best odds to win the Open, plus 450, right? So, okay, that's, of course, Scottie Scheffler is always going to be in the conversation because of his greatness. And we've seen everything that he's done. He's had an electric couple years, and it seems like he's just getting started. But I am going to go a little, left turn here and not say Scottie Scheffler is the undisputed man to beat the field. I'm going to say, well, let me preface it by this, Dexter. What do they always say in real estate? What is the most important thing? Location, location, location. You've heard this phrase, yes?
I've heard this phrase.
Okay,
yeah, right.
So this tournament in Northern Ireland is taking place near the hometown of one Rory McIlroy. Okay, Rory McIlroy grew up 1 hour south of Royal Portrush. So, therefore, I am going to be saying Rory McIlroy is actually the undisputed man to beat the field. And the reason is, yes, of course, the location, we know that. Rory, as we've talked about, won the Masters this year, right? For the first time, he completed the career Grand Slam. So he's already had that huge achievement, won 3 times this year, including the major. And so, as soon as he won the Masters, I think everyone looked at this tournament and circled it and said, hey, wait a minute, Rory McIlroy now has a chance to get a second major of the year at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland, his home country, near where he grew up. So I think everyone was starting to think about that. And I think it's set up really nicely. Rory is actually at plus 700. So he's second in odds behind Scottie Scheffler. But At the end of the day, I think Rory McIlroy at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland, the storybook is all there. The storybook ending is all there. So I'm going to answer your question and say not Scotty, but Rory is the undisputed man to beat in the field.
I like this. Rory being a little bit familiar with the
Yes,
territory
exactly.
and surroundings. You think he can do that, coupled with the fact that he won the Masters this year. You think that can bode well for him playing in his home country of Ireland, and particularly in Northern Ireland. So that'll be very interesting. Now, Bryson DeChambeau is a golfer I feel like we talk about a lot in all of these majors. He's been a factor in nearly every major, except for the U.S. Open, where he missed the cut. I think the question for me with him is, does his style fit links golf, or will Portrush test him in different ways? We expect the course to test golfers, period, but do you think this course will test Bryson in different ways that we might not expect?
It's a good question, because we know Bryson DeChambeau is always in the conversation, right, in these big major championships. He's a great player. He's won majors himself. So we know Bryson can muscle it. But let me just say one thing, Dexter. The wind doesn't care how far you hit it, right? And I think that's something that we all have to remember going into this tournament. Like I said, Bryson is the thinking man's golfer, so creativity certainly there. But in terms of Bryson's game, right, Portrush is going to force you to think your way around this course. And I think that, yes, of course, the power is there and the driving distance, but I don't know if the link-style golf course at Royal Portrush sets up well for Bryson. And so the biggest testament to that is in 2019, the Open was at Royal Portrush. Bryson missed the cut that year. Okay, so that's an indication right there. And if you look back at 2019, the top 10 players that in that year in 2019, they were ball strikers, not bombers, right? So if you think about that, those are the players who are going to have the biggest advantage. So in my mind, if I'm going to predict right now sitting here, I'm going to say Bryson doesn't win this championship just because of how it might suit or not suit his game. So I'm going to take a pass on Bryson.
All right, passing on Bryson DeChambeau here in this one. Good note from Curran right there. Missed the cut in 2019 at this same course. Now, who are your top dark horses? You know I got to do this. Anytime we come, we got to talk about dark horses to watch. So here at the Open, who are your top dark horses? And by this, for folks know, guys outside the big names. Right? That we've just mentioned some of the big names in golf, but who do you see outside of that that can make a serious run at the Claret Jug, the big trophy that you get here if you win? Who can win this tournament that maybe people would not expect?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a couple of names. Now, this isn't necessarily dark horses way down the field because, I mean, there's only a select few of players who can really win at these major championships, especially tough courses like wherever the U.S. Open is or wherever the Open is, right? These courses are punishing, and a lot of times, getting even close to par, even a little bit under par is a good score. So there's only a handful of players, but players that maybe, let's just say, are outside of the top three, just people to think about here. So Tommy Fleetwood. He's from the UK, okay, so he's got that working for him. On tour, he's been a runner-up 6 times. He's had 42 top 10s, but he's never won on the PGA Tour yet. But earlier, a couple months ago, he was in the Travelers Championships. He had a 3-stroke lead with 4 holes to go, so he was right there. Now, obviously, that was agonizing to give that up. He lost to Keegan Bradley, but I think that left a bad taste in his mouth, and now it motivates him. Remember, he's from the UK, and it's almost like, Dexter, it's almost like, in blackjack, when you keep hitting, you keep doubling down on a 10, the dealer has a 6, and you don't get it. Eventually, you feel like, I have to get this law of averages. So same thing for Tommy Fleetwood. He's been in striking range so many times that I think it's just a matter of time. I think it's law of averages. So I expect Tommy Fleetwood to have a good showing here at the Open. One other name for you to know, Keegan Bradley. So when I mentioned the Travelers Championship, the man who beat Tommy Fleetwood at the Travelers was Keegan Bradley. So there's extra motivation this time around for Keegan Bradley. Keegan Bradley was named captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team, and the U.S. Ryder Cup is going to be coming together in America. It's going to be played at Bethpage Black in Long Island, and it's going to be USA versus Europe. And so Keegan Bradley is the captain of America. Now, Keegan is deciding if he's going to be the first player captain since 1963. That was Arnold Palmer who did it last. If Keegan Bradley has a good showing here, I think it's no doubt that he will be a player captain. He'll be captain and he'll play. So extra motivation here for Keegan Bradley. And like we said, he had that big win at the Travelers. So that's someone to look at. He's at plus 8,000. And one more dark horse for you. Again, not a big dark horse, but just someone to think about. And that is from Ireland, Shane Lowry. Okay, Shane Lowry. He won the 2019 Open Championship. And Dexter, can you guess where the 2019 Open Championship was played?
This might have to do something with location.
Location.
Royal Portrush.
Yes, exactly. So the 2019 Open Championship was at Royal Portrush, and Shane Lowry took it home. Remember, he's from Ireland, so he's had 4 top 10s, 2 runner-ups already this year. So playing well. He did this 6 years ago already on this course. He's at plus 3,000, so definitely someone to keep an eye on in Shane Lowry.
All right, some good names there in
Yep.
terms of dark horses, and this brings us to how we conclude. All right,
Yes.
this is where all the pressure
Yes.
is on Curran here.
Okay.
Curran, how do you see this tournament playing out?
Okay.
Who comes out on top in the final major of the PGA Tour season? Who are you
Yep.
going with?
All right, my official pick for the 2025 Open Championship at Royal Portrush. No surprise here. Rory McIlroy. Remember, Rory McIlroy is from Northern Ireland, so he's going to be playing at home. He grew up 1 hour south of this course. And so, Dexter, I'm taking the storybook ending here, okay? Rory McIlroy, he won the Masters this year. It was a magical moment. Finally got that elusive career Grand Slam. And so, as we could say, that monkey is off his back, right? The pressure is gone. He can swing freely. And he's going to be at home in Northern Ireland. So it's really all set up for Rory. Rory's already won 3 times this year with a major, of course, the Masters. And so, he's got Northern Ireland on his back. Now, the one side note is in 2019, we're referencing 2019 a lot because that's when the Open Championship was at Royal Portrush. Rory didn't make the cut that year. So I think there's also the redemption arc in play here, okay? You want to, of course, make the cut and have a good showing in your home. So I think Rory is going to do that. So at the end of the day, I think we're going to have a little bit of a Kevin Garnett a moment here. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. And Rory McIlroy, not only did he get the career Grand Slam, but he's going to be raising the claret jug to win the final major of the year. Royal Portrush, the Open Championship. I'm taking Rory. Can you give me a little anything is possible, Dexter? Come on, man.
Anything is possible! I don't know about his pick, but anything is possible. My producer, Nick, is shaking his head. I do like the pick. No, seriously, I actually do like the pick.
Yeah.
I've been wondering about Rory and his form coming off the Masters till now, and wondering how he could look in this. I thought about location, him being close to home. So it'd be interesting to see how he plays.
Yeah, there's definitely been a Masters hangover, to your point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
He won the Masters, and it wasn't like, okay, now he's on a tear winning every single tournament. But one of the first thoughts in his head was, wow, I already got 1 major this year, and knowing the last major of the year is in his home, I think that was on his mind. So maybe it was like, hey, win the Masters, have a little party, and then get redemption for 2019 for not making the cut at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland. So
I'll say this, Elise. I think that he is absolutely going to be motivated to have a better showing than he did 6 years ago. He's going to want to show out and be better at this one. So Rory McIlroy, Curran Bhatia has picked you. That means you got a lot to prove here coming up this week at the Open Championship. That is Curran Bhatia. Does a great job covering golf enthusiasts. Check him out. Curran, always a pleasure to talk some golf with you. I'm going to enjoy this tournament, the Open Championship. I'm not calling it the British Open, folks. I'm going to enjoy that. Should be a fun one. We'll see. We'll see if your picks are right.
It will be fun. Remember, the saying isn't nothing is possible. Anything is possible. Rory at the Open.
Which means it's also possible for him to not win the Open, but anything's possible. There we go.
Thanks, Dexter.